Believe it or not, I don't take much joy in reacting to this video because Jay-Z and DMX were are two of my favorite rappers of all time. So Diddy, on the other hand, I always liked Diddy in his prime, but I always thought he was a weird dude. So, you know, there's that. But I'm gonna read the title to you. It's when DMX exposed Diddy for bending rappers and Jay-Z ending them. That's a pretty crazy title. Let's get right into it. All right, let's go.
A lot of the love I had for wanting to be a part of the industry is not there anymore. I don't even associate myself with the industry. You know what I'm saying? I'm not an industry artist. I'm an artist in the industry.
Ever since this entire Diddy mess started with Cassie suing him.
I'm not an industry artist. I'm an artist in the industry. I mean, the guy was just such a poet. All right. We wanted to hear a little bit. We'll keep it going. But I always wondered why DMX hated the industry so much. And I think in 2024, a lot of it is getting exposed.
Ever since this entire Diddy mess started with Cassie suing him and then a whole lot of other people coming out of the woodwork with their own horror story against Diddy and people around him, more and more celebs have been named. And one of the names that keeps coming up is that of Jay-Z.
Jay-Z, in case you don't know, is my favorite rapper of all time. So I don't take a lot of joy in this, all right? But I'm never biased. If he did a lot of foul stuff, then you know, that's the path that he set out for himself. But let's get this going.
Even 50 Cent said that Jay is hiding till the Diddy drama dies down because he doesn't want to be exposed. And now videos of DMX, one of the legendary rappers who was never afraid of exposing the dark secrets of Hollywood, are going viral on Twitter. And
now DMX is in my top 5.
In several such videos, DMX literally tried to warn us about Diddy and Jay-Z's nasty dealings.
If you want to rap or sing or whatever, don't become a part of the game. You know what? Listen to a song I called The Industry. And that pretty much explains, you know what I'm saying, what the shit is like. Okay, I see what's really good. You're trying to eliminate the competition. You know, because at first you retire, you know, then get me off the label.
Yeah.
Now you're back rapping again. Okay. I mean, it's all good. It's all good. But they made him jiggy and put him in suits and made them write lyrics for him and took all that publishing and took.
DMX.
He's talking about the Locks. You know, the Locks had a certain image before they got on Bad Boy. And then when Diddy, if you work for Diddy, you have to wear black and white. He was very militant about the way he ran Bad Boy back in his prime. And with the Locks, he had them wearing the shiny suits and everything else. And who knows what else, you know, the Locks were as gangster as you can get when it comes to gangster rappers. But, you know, Diddy was over them and DMX didn't like that. Man, now I understand why DMX, you know, I understand him more now than ever, you know, why he had so many troubles and on top of his childhood. And then once he got some success, what he had to deal with in Hollywood and in hip hop, it's crazy. The man's lived a crazy life.
Okay, I see what's really good. You're trying to eliminate the competition.
He's talking about Jay-Z when Jay-Z took over Def Jam and DMX is breaking all records. I think he went platinum 2 or 3 times in the same year, you know, with different albums, which was unheard of. And Jay-Z was trying to make sure that he was #1 at the end as far as being consistent and being the greatest rapper of all time. And DMX is just flying straight up with his success, excuse me. And Jay-Z is supposed to retire like 10 times, and he kept coming back out and putting out fire.
You know, because at first you retire, you know, then get me off the label. Now you're back rapping again. Okay. I mean, it's all good. It's all good. But they made him jiggy and put him in suits and made them write lyrics for him and took all that publishing and took.
DMX supposedly went after Diddy for allegedly manipulating and controlling his artists, and Jay-Z for dipping his toes and becoming friends with the shady big shots in the industry, the people behind the curtain that control everything.
Becoming friends with the shady big shots in the industry. Could she be talking about the billionaires that he bumps shoulders with?
Told Craig Mott if he didn't change management, he wasn't with him no more. Craig wasn't getting rid of his management. Craig said, yo, listen here, man, I'm not changing my manager just because you want to. Puff said, yo, I ain't with that kid no more. Not at all. I was right there when he said that. Told Craig Mott, you don't change your management, I ain't
It got me wondering what exactly DMX must have witnessed while working with these two that got him shaken and broke his trust in the industry. So let me break it down for you.
A lot of the love I had for wanting to be a part of the industry is not there anymore. I don't even associate myself with the industry. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not an industry artist. I'm an artist in the industry.
Like I said,
I felt that.
Diddy's legacy and personal integrity have been shaken right from the foundation. Different allegations, lawsuits, and arrests are not going away. The rabbit hole he's dug for himself is just getting deeper. And now Jay-Z is getting plastered too. And get this, in an interview that recently surfaced, DMX publicly spilled some serious tea on Diddy, talking about how he grapes his artists, bending rappers over, and taking advantage of their talents and hard work.
Well, you know, Locks got signed by that. Even though I bought the Locks to our riders, you know, they got signed. They were a safer group. You know, Puff signed them. And it was a blessing and a curse because they were sure they were happy about getting signed first, and they were on the Benjamins and shit was going. But they made them jiggy and put them in suits and made them write lyrics for them and took all that publishing and like, damn. I'm glad I didn't, you know, like. You keep that, and we went to, like, as soon as they got signed, D was like, yo, if you like the Locks, like, X is like big dog, like, those are the Puffs, like, you love.
While some fans interpreted the use of the R word by X as a metaphor for Diddy being a ripoff, others are convinced he meant that literally. But then again,
that's debatable because in hip hop lingo, that word is used for a lot of things. Like you could have got done on your taxes, done. I mean, they use that word, so there's no way to really know how he was using that word unless he was alive today to actually say what he really meant. But you can tell that DMX was honest to a fault, which is probably why he didn't like to be on social media, didn't like to do a lot of interviews because he just might say the wrong thing. I remember he was on the Breakfast Club and he started talking about how he really felt about Drake when they asked him about it. So he told him, like, I can't stand him, you know, like he's the type of person if you ask him a question, he's going to give you an honest answer. And maybe that's why I like him, because I'm kind of similar. You know, I'm kind of blunt to a default.
The recent allegations, the possibility of Diddy laying pipes on artists is literally not impossible at this point. In another interview, DMX talked about how Diddy initially turned him down for a deal at his label, Bad Boy Records. But as soon as he got the info about Def Jam's offer for him, he started singing a different tune, practically begging him to work with him instead. But X had already caught wind of how things were behind the scenes at Bad Boy, and he didn't like what he saw. He wasn't ready to get piped, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
2 weeks after
yeah, she's graphic.
I signed Def Jam. He was like, yo, I'll lace your pockets. I'll double what they gave you and lace your pockets. I'm like, nah, I'm cool.
Now, when it comes to Jay-Z and DMX, they've always had an entangled history because they came up around the same time in the late 90s. And while they may have been cool at some point, things got heated up really quickly. Jay did publicly show respect to X after he passed away, but there's this lingering feeling that there's so much more to their history. Broken trust, for one. X allegedly thought Jay was a shady character, the type of person who doesn't want anyone else to outshine him because he's scared of the competition. He even went as far as accusing Jay of becoming Def Jam's president solely to meddle with his 6th album and ruin his career.
I've heard Jay talk about this. Jay knows this about himself, that he was, you know, I've seen him talk about this in interviews and albums. So this isn't like something that DMX is necessarily exposing if you're a Jay fan. I'm not taking up for Jay, but I know that he's trying to apologize and be better now and trying to put people on now. But yeah, he definitely wanted to be on top and would do anything to be like the best rapper, whether it doesn't matter. And he would put a pin in your career if he had the power to do so, that he was just ruthless like that. And that's probably why he's at where he's at. I'm not saying that I would have did any of all. I don't want to be a billionaire that bad.
Got heated up really quickly. Jay did publicly show respect to X after he passed away, but there's this lingering feeling that there's so much more to their history. Broken trust, for one. X allegedly thought Jay was a shady character, the type of person who doesn't want anyone else to outshine him because he's scared of the competition. He even went as far as accusing Jay of becoming Def Jam's president solely to meddle with his 6th album and ruin his career. Of course, Jay-Z never owned up to that move, but what made it weird was that right after X passed away on April 19th, 2021, Jay went on LeBron's show, The Shop, where he was asked about DMX's legacy and what he meant to him personally. There he talked about how he boycotted his first Grammy win for DMX and how much respect he had for him, and how despite their maintaining their competitive edge over the years, it was all love.
Just about like what he meant to the culture and maybe meant to you personally.
By the way, the first time I boycotted the Grammys was for him. We both came out that year. He didn't get nominated. He dropped 2 albums, had 2 #1 albums in the same year.
Same year, yeah,
They
crazy.
didn't even nominate him. I won that year for rap album. So my first Grammy win, I wasn't in. I wasn't even in the building because I boycotted him. So there was a competitive thing, but it was big love.
I forgot about that. I've seen that interview, and Jay did say that he boycotted because it was like when they did the what was the name of that concert where DMX and Jay-Z, like everybody was there, Redman and Meth. But anyways, they were freestyling. It was like back then it was like friendly competition, you know, like even when he went at Nas, all right, to this Nas and him, they're cool today. You know, Jay was all about being on top, but he wanted to compete. And I just think that he was more ruthless with it. In my opinion.
He's so competitive with me. I never met a human being more competitive with me, like ever, not even my big brother.
But Jay conveniently made it seem like DMX was the one playing the competitive game. Meanwhile, it was the other way around. In 2004, Jay-Z became the president of Def Jam Records, and according to X, that's the moment everything went down. DMX had been the biggest act, the face of Def Jam Records, dropping back-to-back #1 albums between 98 and 03.
And movies.
5 different albums in total. And you would agree that level of consistency alone should have earned him some level of respect in the company. But the moment Jay became president, X claimed he tried to throw a wrench on his 6th album titled Year of the Dog, meddling with its release.
You know, like I said, I had the crazy track record, Def Jam, everything was good. You know, I go to do the 6th album, and you know,
Jay-Z became president.
Yeah. You know, when he first got the job, he hit me with the call like, yo, dog, inmates is running the building like, yo, you good? Finish the album, shoot the video. What happened? Shit didn't, you know, we don't know. What you mean you don't know? How do you listen to a whole album, pick a single, shoot a video, then don't know?
In the same radio interview, DMX alleged that the reason Jay messed with his project was because he changed his mind about retirement, and he was planning a big comeback to the rap game. To do that, he needed to clear off any competition that could stand in his way. That was the last straw for X.
From his perspective, all right, you know, from his Jay never talks about this, but we don't know what's going on there. But I do know there was a competition. I wouldn't put it past Jay, you know what I mean? But again, we are getting one side of the story here.
Yeah, I see what's really good. You're trying to eliminate the competition. You know, because at first you retire, you know, then get me off the label. Now you're back rapping again. Okay. It's all good.
After this, DMX realized that the path he and Jay decided to tread in the music industry was at opposite ends. Jay wanted to cozy up with the shady big dogs at the higher end of the industry, while X just wanted to retain his artistic freedom and get paid. He called it quits with Def Jam not long after and signed a deal with Columbia Records. That's why X never really got to trust Jay. He felt like Jay was ready to do anything, trample on anyone, just to cozy up with the big shots. But DMX kept it real, unlike Jay. He was always calling out these higher-ups, talking about label owners and their tight grips on artists' necks. And he wasn't about to bend for them or get run over, literally.
This new breed of rapper that's paying DJs to play their
Right.
And, you know what I'm saying? They sucking the record label executives, and it's like there's too much of that going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let me be me. Let me be the artist that I am and just play my motherfucking music. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now they want you all up under this, you know, sitting at the going to dinner with them and like that.
I never
and,
seen this.
You know, all that favor for a favor shit. I don't get down like that. Look, I give you the music, you give my money.
In 2005, DMX dropped a song titled The Industry. In the song, he described label owners as vultures. He talked about how new artists were pressured to sell their souls, to lose their originality and their integrity for a paycheck.
The game is bullshit, man. The game is bullshit. If you want to rap or sing or whatever, don't become a part of the game. You know what? Listen to a song I called The Industry. And that pretty much explains, you know, saying what the shit is about. The industry. Man, it's not the same. The industry, it's not a f***ing game. The industry, real is dying to get in the industry just to find they don't fit in. The industry ain't what it used to be. The industry's trying to control the way you MC. They want you to dress like this and talk like that, but I'm going to dress like this and talk with the gap. The industry.
Now, Jay-Z was always about the business. He always looked beyond the artistry, and that's why he threaded a different path to the top. But you see, he could never shake off the allegations about him throwing his people under the bus, trampling on them in a show of power, and in the quest to maintain good relationships with the industry's higher-ups. I mean, let's be real. Over the years, he has also been accused of taking several people out. Even Dame Dash, the co-founder of Rockefeller, claimed Jay became someone else the moment he started to cozy up with these top bosses in the music business. He even name-dropped Lyor Cohen, the former Def Jam president and a close buddy of Jay. In his book, Decoded, Jay-Z referred to Cohen as his mentor. This is a man that's so unpopular for various reasons in the music business. Let's take his interview at the Breakfast Club in 2018, for example. He went on raving about the substance use crisis in the industry, talking about how he felt sad about DMX's struggle with substances. But when Charlamagne asked why he keeps signing artists that promote this kind of lifestyle, Lyor straight up replied that it's just business. When Dame first called out Jay's betrayal, it felt like he was just fishing. But it all makes sense now.
One of the biggest artists you ever had had a real bad drug problem, DMX.
I'm so sad. It's the most dangerous
He sounded sad.
thing that's facing our society.
So why sign an artist that would promote that?
Because I already
Get the stuttering. I mean, look at the artists that's making the most money now are promoting the biggest debauchery. It's not that there's not great artists out there. They just have no chance when the industry is only looking for one type of artist because that's what's being promoted. And it seems like that's what they want out there.
answered that question. You weren't paying attention. She asked me talent or issues, and I said talent. But I have to. I can't give up on people.
But I'm saying that's hypocritical though. You're saying the
it's
opioid problem's a problem.
opportunistic. Yeah. I got people to feed.
Back when Charlamagne would ask hard-hitting questions.
I got a business to run.
In that same interview, when asked about Dame Dash calling Lyor a culture vulture, you'd be surprised at what Lyor had to say. He flat out denied ever knowing Dame, despite Charlamagne reminding him that they made a lot of money together. At that moment, Lyor Cohen became Lyor Cohen.
So
Y'all made a lot of money together.
Made a lot of
Come
money.
on, Leo. Don't do that to him.
I don't know him.
Damn.
I really don't. So, I don't know what to tell you.
So I know you're probably wondering how all of this connects with DMX. Word on the streets is that Lyor was the one who influenced Jay-Z to meddle with DMX's 6th album studio because they didn't see eye to eye. It got even crazier after X's death. Lyor had to go further by saying some really disrespectful words about X at his funeral. He couldn't even be bothered to attend in person, so he sent a recorded message. DMX was laid to rest on April 25th, 2021. And
That's crazy. If everything in this is true, even when it comes to competition, that's a straight dirtball move.
one of the people who profited most from this great talent couldn't even pay their last respects. In the voice recording he sent, he called X a gremlin and said he wasn't surprised by his death. Can you imagine that? Those are words coming from Jay-Z's mentor's lips.
The race against time was that we all know X is a gremlin and reckless and looking for a wall to crash into.
Yes.
X, if you listen to X, if you see X, his death is no surprise. If you listen to and you watched who and what X was.
All right. I wasn't going to go there, especially when they were going so hard at why Jay-Z didn't want to do certain things with DMX. I remember when I was a kid, I heard that DMX threw a party in Michigan and someone had attended the party and they said that there was a table and there was a mountain of coke on the table and that everybody was doing it. And I didn't believe it because at that time he was my favorite rapper. So I thought it was just a rumor. Decades later, you start to see the effects of the drugs. And then you see the relationship he had with his family and everything else. X was always even the way he drove, everything he did like really intense, but he was a troubled individual. Okay. So we can't pretend like, X, that's why I say we only get one half of the story because X has always had an abuse problem. So, but for the most part, I believe most of what he's saying in this video, from his perspective, excuse me.
And I think it's a tragedy because I wish people knew Earl, the fisherman who loves to fish and loved to be with his kids and loves
RC cars,
loved to talk about deep things and curious about the world and interested in other people's opinions.
Now you can imagine and understand why X never trusted Jay or Diddy. When DMX was telling us about how filthy the industry was and how these stars are not who they claim to be, we should have listened more attentively. Fans are saying that it's only a matter of time before more skeletons fall out of the closets of all these people. X always kept it a buck, kept it real, and held it down.
To be honest with you, none of this in this video really surprises me about Jay, because if you know Jay's early albums, he sold drugs, and anybody who sells drugs to their community, well, you know, in my opinion, you don't have a soul. So I'm not shocked by anything that, you know, that they said in this video about Jay-Z. That's one of the biggest issues, you know, I have with Jay-Z. So yeah, I understand, but I grew up off the music, so I still, you know, listen to it on rare occasion. And I separate the art from the artist, because I never glorified any rapper for the most part. But I'm not sure where I was going there. But yeah, they both have issues on both sides, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
R.I.P. X-Man. What's your take on...
If you follow Jay-Z's career, then you know that he considers himself to be a gangster, or at least that's his public persona. And what is a gangster? A gangster is something that many people think is cool until it affects artists or people that you love, you know? And DMX also considered himself to be a gangster. If you follow his music and his public persona, it's just that Jay-Z was a more shrewd, business-minded gangster. They both have rapped about committing crimes, robbing people, and drugs, and all this craziness. So you got to expect this behavior between, you know, the both of them going at each other. So I will put that stuff aside and just let the music speak for itself. But if I'm giving my opinion on if Jay-Z really blocked it based off of this video, it seems like a lot of this stuff is true. DMX wasn't known to be a liar. That's one thing about it. He wasn't known for that. So that's what I liked about DMX. I don't think I've ever caught him saying any bogus stuff, and then we found out later that he was lying about the whole thing. No, he really used to rob people. You know what I mean? He was a real gangster. So that's why I say you got to hear both sides, and then you also take into account that one of these gangsters has been on drugs since I was a teenager, and had a really crazy life, and even his own family, you know, he had issues that was public on the show with his son, and you could see how cold-hearted and cold-blooded he was towards his own son on Ayanna Fixed My Life. I think that was a show when they had like the reunion to try to get him with his son. And it was heartbreaking to see, you know, somebody that you grew up watching and admiring as a teenager treat his son like that. You know what I mean? But I understood it, because I know that once drugs have a hold of you, then you're not really yourself after a certain point, and you do things you wouldn't normally ever do in your heart. In my opinion, those drugs become like your everything, even over family. So, yeah, I'm taking a lot of this as the person that surprised me the most was Puff. I always thought that he was a businessman, a shrewd businessman that will screw you over, but wouldn't really do anything to break the law. You know what I mean? He didn't strike me as the type until a lot of this stuff started getting exposed about him with the way he used to bribe people, and then now recently the Diddy parties and all this stuff getting exposed. He's the biggest shock in this. The DMX and Jay-Z stuff doesn't really shock me that much, but Puff, who I thought was the level-headed guy in the East Coast, West Coast beef thing, he was trying to advocate for peace. Meanwhile, it's showing that he's the one throwing hits on people. Okay, yeah, he's the one shooting people the whole time. If they ever do a movie about Puff, which they tend to do about these like really polarizing figures and stories, it's going to be a crazy movie, provided it's done right. But yeah, this was interesting. If you guys like the reaction, do me a big favor and like the video. If you want to stay up to date whenever I post, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Appreciate you guys for watching. Appreciate your time. Peace.